The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of Green Acres and our guests. These general gardening tips and suggestions may work for you, as well as those from alternative sources. When using any garden products or tools, read and follow all labeled directions.
The Green Acres Garden Podcast is the podcast dedicated to helping gardeners hone their growing skills while we celebrate our love of plants. So whether you're new to growing or a seasoned gardener, you're sure to learn something new. Join the fun as we have conversations with world-class growers, passionate green thumbs, and professional garden experts from Green Acres Nursery and Supply. Listen every week. We'll answer questions you didn't know you had. The way we grow. Hey there, garden friends. Welcome one and all. Hey, all hands on deck for this episode because you guess what? It is that time of year, friends. It is springtime. I'm telling you, winter is in the rearview mirror, and we are looking forward to positive things. Welcome again to the world's best garden podcast. At least that's how I feel. This is the Green Acres Garden Podcast. I'm your host and your garden friend, Kevin Jordan, back in studio for another great episode. There is so much to go over this week. I mean, it's been an incredible couple weeks out in the garden. And hey, if things have got you down, this episode is going to be medicine for you because, like I said, I am so optimistic and hopeful for what the spring and the summertime has for us. And I think all that is going to be started right now. So we're going to get after it. Before we get started, I want to check in with Austin. He's been on an adventure, a little garden adventure. Austin, how's it going?
Hello, and welcome back to all of our listeners. It's the best time of the week. It's garden podcast time. And you're right. Yeah, I just got back from a little trip to Texas, visiting some of our locations out in that area and meeting all of the wonderful people out there and seeing how they grow out in Texas. And I got to say, it was so eye-opening and so fun. I'd never spent time there before, so it was exploring a new area, and that was so inspiring. Very good stuff.
When can we look forward to seeing some video of that? Some footage.
We'll see. I was a busy guy.
Take some editing for sure.
Lots of content, but I'm excited to be back here in Sacktown, and it's I wasn't gone that long, but I come back and it's just like you said. It's full spring. This place is different. It's transformed.
It's incredible.
My neighborhood, I'm walking around today, and it's a different world. What has happened, Kevin? There's blooms everywhere. The trees are dropping pollen.
You said it.
The world is alive out here.
Yeah,
it's so cool.
yeah. If you didn't have allergies, you got them now. Here in Northern California, I mean, we are in full go. I mean, if you just look around, the trees are blooming so hard right now. You brought the sycamores are just covered in their tiny little flowers, yellow pollen flying through the air. But they're the red buds. There's so much going on. I mean, there's not too many trees out there right now that aren't just packed full of flowers. Maybe the crepe myrtles might be the ones that are waiting because they take a little longer. But all of our winter and spring, they're going hard. And to me, it's just one of those things where it's pretty incredible when you can notice the difference. What a difference. Just a few degrees warmer, just days getting a little bit longer.
Right.
And just the soil warms up and these plants just,
That's
boom,
all they
just
need.
Snap right back to life. I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it. No, it's just a wonderful time to kind of get things going at our school garden. We're right in that sweet spot where we're still harvesting brassicas that we planted in the fall. We've got lemons, we've got oranges, we've got mandarins still on the tree, and we have things to look forward to. We're pulling off cilantro. The garlic is really taking off right now. We're looking forward to an early summer harvest of that. But we're really wanting to kind of get our sights set on that spring planting. So for me, like I said, I'm harvesting, I'm pulling plants out. We're working the soil the best we can, and we're preparing for hopefully just a massively, wonderfully epic spring and summer garden. And that's what today's episode is going to be dedicated towards.
Nice.
We want to help. We want to help you, the listener, get the absolute most out of your garden, however big or small it may be. We want to utilize that and hopefully give you all the tools and support needed to really get the most out of this season. So let's get after it.
So let's go ahead and get started. If maybe somebody is just starting out, they're inspired, they want to start, what's the first thing you would tell a newbie this year if they want to get growing?
I love it. Dream, plan, grow. That is going to be our template for today. We're going to dream, we're going to plan, and then we're going to put that plan into action. So if you're a new gardener and it's like, hey, this is the first year, or you're maybe kind of getting back into it, or you got a new space, what do you want from your garden? To me, that'll be a big issue. Like, what do you really want? Do you want food? Do you want flowers? Do you want fresh herbs? Are you excited for pesto, fresh greens? Maybe make your own ratatouille, fragrant bouquets. Is that your jam? Or do you want all of it? For me, I want all of that. I want fresh herbs. To me, basil is the flavor of summer. Tomatoes, obviously. Come on, duh.
Oh, yeah.
Peppers, all of it, from sweet to spicy. I didn't even really grow up being an eggplant person. Have you ever had some proper like eggplant parmesan from the garden?
Oh yeah, I grew some eggplant last year. It was easy to grow. The plant didn't get as big as I wanted it to, but I did get some good eggplant out of it, and that stuff is delicious.
They are for sure. And for me, I've noticed they take a little bit longer to kind of get going.
Okay,
so
yeah.
we're going to talk a little bit about that. But once you've got your dreams in place, and hopefully dream huge, because I'm telling you, there might be a reality in your near future, whether it be in your garden or your life, where things are happening that you never even dreamed up. So I'm telling you, when it comes to garden and plants, things that we can, if you dream it, you can do it. So once you've got an idea, let's get after it. For me, the planning is really where it's going to come into play. Site selection, like I said, a new garden, got to be at least 6 to 8 hours of sun. I've had so many friends come up to me and they ask, look at my plants. Why aren't they doing that well? And they'll show me pictures of these leggy, tall, spindly plants. Not great, right? And I go, well, where is it? And they go, oh, it's on the side yard in between my house and the neighbor's house. And it gets like a sliver of light directly for a few hours of the day, and then it's shade and shade.
Right. Just because it's outside doesn't mean it's getting sun.
That's a great point. So for a ripping, so those veggies, those tomatoes, the melons and cucumbers, even the herbs and things, they're really going to respond well to some increased sunlight. So for me, the minimum is at least 6 hours, if not more. So make sure your site that you do choose has plenty of sunshine. And if it's you're not full of sun, then maybe you grow other things. There's plenty of flowers and other things that you can get, make use of that space.
Yeah, and I think you've also said 6 hours there, but for a lot of things, I feel in the past you've said 8 hours is needed for like tomatoes, roses,
if not more,
and other things, right? So as much as possible, they have to go to the sunniest part of your yard.
You'll always hear that 6 to 8 hours. My garden at the school,
8.
It's in full sun.
Yeah,
it gets from the morning to all the way, right? But our homes have, unique qualities to where the sun and the trees are. So find that spot in your yard that has blasting sun. Like you said, 8 hours or more, ideal even. And think, are you going to grow in ground? Are you going to do raised bed gardening? Are containers more your speed? Or you can do a little hybrid both. For me, there are benefits to all of those things. I think for somebody starting out, there's a lot to be said about containers. Just make sure you have the right size container for the plant. Like if you want to grow a tomato plant to full size in a 2-gallon pot, that's going to be pretty challenging just because they need a bit of water. They're heavy feeders. So just make sure your containers are large enough, contain a really rich, well-drained potting mix, and make sure those containers actually have holes where that water can escape. Because obviously these plants are going to need water. They don't want to be sitting in it.
Right. They need that drainage. Now, let me ask you a question about the containers for a tomato.
Yeah.
Because I've seen a lot of people try a lot of different things. And would you say that the deeper it is, the better, or the wider? Because don't the tomatoes need a lot of depth?
They do. They do get a bit deeper than most other veggies. Like a lot of veggies we grow. I mean, you can really grow a ton of veggies in 8 to 10 inches of soil. Tomatoes are likely going to want a bit deeper of a container than that. Maybe 15 to 20 gallons.
Okay, so that's not
might be
too
a good
much.
starting point. The smaller
I've seen
it is,
people try to do it in a 5-gallon bucket. That's probably not enough, right?
It's possible, but man, you're going to be feeding that thing and watering it so constantly that you're going to be spending more time with that poor little tomato than your family. So you can get away with things, but just realize that their whole world is in that container. So with container gardening, even if you had amazing soil last year and that dirt is still in there, you can either replace that soil with fresh potting mix, or you can amend it with a nice 2 to 3 inch thick layer of top dressing of compost. And so you can kind of enrich that pre-existing potting mix. So you don't have to always get rid of it. You can just beef it up with some compost. But even whether it's raised beds, in ground, or in the containers, don't rely on last year's success. Realize that those plants stripped that soil of so much nutrition, all those beautiful flowers you grew, all that foliage, all that fruit. That nutrition came from somewhere. And so it pulls it from your soil. And if you're going to go back and hope for that same success and not do anything, you're likely going to see diminishing returns. You go, oh, my tomatoes weren't as good as last year. Well, did you amend the soil? Did you add compost? Did you enrich it with some organic amendments? If you do that, I'm telling you, you're going to be ahead of the curve.
Okay, all right. So I want to hone in on that because I do have a plan for my vegetable gardening this year. I've got my
Yes.
community garden plot. I'm in the ground. It's a pretty big plot, but I grew a ton of tomatoes last year, tons of peppers and other vegetables. And I imagine that it did suck a lot of that nutrition out. So I appreciate the reminder. I need to rejuvenate that soil.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe do a little bit of crop rotation. I'm thinking I'm going to move the tomatoes to the other side of the plot. But what is the best way to enrich the soil? You said top dress, or like what specific product should I be going to get and how much?
Well, here's what we do. That's great questions. Crop rotation's fantastic. The more you amend, the better off you'll be, and it can be helpful with that as well. But not growing the same plant in the same spot year after year, that's a smart move.
Okay.
How we kind of prepare our beds now, we've kind of evolved our approach at the school garden. I want to recommend a tool that I've kind of fallen in love with. It's called the broadfork. It is about 3 feet wide, and it has 2 handles that come up really all the way up to your head, and it has a little base that you can stand on.
Whoa,
underneath that base, there's foot-long metal tines, big, long, like the tines of a fork, but they are deep, and there's about 4 or 5 of them on there, and you just put it right into the garden bed, and you just use your body weight and gravity, and you can stand on it and kind of jump on that if you have to, and it works it into the soil.
Okay.
And then you just pull those 2 handles back like a lever, and it lifts up the soil a little bit. And like my sound effect,
that's good.
It lets air back into the soil without having to bust out the rototiller or break your back with the claw, with the long handled cultivators, and which I kind of like using sometimes. But it is so easy, so effective, and when we were done, the soil was, without even adding compost, just the air, it was like 4 inches taller than the bed next to it.
Whoa.
That was the exact same level, just by letting that air kind of infiltrate back into the soil. So the benefit is you're not pulverizing the soil, you're not destroying the soil structure, you're not damaging the fungal networks that we know now are really important in the soil, and you're not overly disturbing the soil. So for me, and it's really quick and easy, super effective. And
you just work your way down the bed.
Yeah. Once you kind of pull it back, you lift up, you move it back maybe 4 or 5 inches, and you do it again until you're done, or wait till you're satisfied. And I'm telling you that soil is so fluffy. Once we've done that, I'll actually go back, top dress some more compost on it, and then just rake it level. And then if you want to sprinkle in some organic amendment, we do that as well at this time, just so we have some kind of in that top few inches of the soil. So when we do transplant, those plants are just in really rich, well aerated soil, well cultivated, and then that compost, that fresh organic soil amendment.
You make your own at the
We
garden.
make our own.
Then you've got earthworm castings that you make there
same
as
thing.
well.
Yep, we'll blend those in.
But for people that don't have that, those are readily available at the store.
Earthworm
right?
castings in a bag.
Yeah.
You can mix that, sprinkle it in. Chicken manure, another amazing amendment. Just make sure that you let it kind of blend it in and let it sit for a day or two in that soil. You don't want to burn anything, although it should be well composted. But these are all things. I mean, the bat guano, the fish emulsion, the sea kelp. Those are liquid amendments. These are all things you can kind of start getting into your repertoire. I think one of the benefits to fertilizing kind of consistently is that you can give your plants a smaller dose of it over a greater period of time. So that way they're not having a huge amount of nutrition all at once and then getting deprived.
Sure.
So more consistency. But for me, amend that soil. Think about your organic amendments that you can add, because that we talked about in the past, the healthy soil is like a furnace. It is like a fire. And that fire over time will dwindle, and the health of that soil kind of just drains out if we're not feeding that fire. And what do we feed it with? Organic matter, the microbes that are the fire that heat it all up and break all that stuff down into usable nutrition. That's what we want. So that organic matter that you find in the compost and the chicken manure and all that, you brought up the earthworm castings, that stuff is a gold.
Sweet.
I'm telling you, that stuff's great.
In the past, I've also used this product. I think it's from Greenall, the fur mulch. It's a blue bag.
Oh, dude, yeah.
And I think it's got chicken manure, bat guano, and like a earthworm. It's got like a lot of things in it. Is that a good thing to add as well?
Love fur mulch. It's a white and blue bag, Greenall.
The name is sort of deceptive because it makes it sound like it's a thick mulch, but it's not.
You can almost use it like a top dressing as a mulch.
Okay.
But it's not going to look like a bark or anything like that.
It's finer particles.
It's a composted mulch, and I think it's like 10% chicken manure. We used to at the nursery I used to work out back in the day. Shout out to Windmill Nursery, no longer exists, but it was a great place, good family. And The dogs at night, they would roam the nursery.
Okay.
The guard dog. If we didn't put that fur mulch away because it was so rich,
They would eat it?
They would eat it. They would tear into the back. So I figured if it's good enough for them to kind of like jump over a thing and go get it,
That's weird.
the plants love it. It's a great amendment. But the soil booster also from Green All. There's a bunch of different brands.
Yeah.
But those are great suggestions. But feed that soil. Even if you thought I have the best soil last year, my garden was great. Good. If you want to continue to have that success, just keep on going, keep feeding, and I think you'll be off and running.
Okay, very cool. So let's say we've prepped our beds and we have a plan. What are the first things that we could be planting right now, or are we even planting? I figure there's things we want to be
Yes.
using seed, or I don't know. So for veggies, what is the plan right
There's
now?
so much you can do right now to get things going. So if you are like me, I love planting from seed. I brought you some seedlings over today.
Yes. Okay. So we could talk about this too. You brought me a huge tray, some huge, ginormous tomatoes in there. What's all in that? There's a few different tomatoes and peppers, right?
Yes. Well, we always have an episode in the beginning of the year. We talk about benefits of starting from seed early on, and we talked about early January. That's when I get my peppers and tomatoes going for the
that when you
summer.
started those?
So January, I think 7th or 8th or whatever. When that first day or two back, we got back from winter break. We started our peppers and tomatoes. So the ones I brought you were planted that first week of January. How tall were those tomatoes, Austin?
2 feet, maybe?
They're about 1.5 feet, 2 feet.
Yeah.
They're huge right now. They're massive. They're ready to go in the garden or pretty close to it. So I brought you some bell peppers. We got the Pueblo chilies, thanks to producer Greg.
Oh, yeah.
So we can make ourselves some
Cool.
sloppers.
Some Colorado peppers.
It's a nice roasting pepper that is sweet with a little bit of tanginess and it's supposed to have a nice smoky flavor. Really good for roasting.
Sweet.
And of course, I brought you the purple tomato.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I wanted to do that again.
And it's kind of like a Frankenstein of the
Yeah,
tomato world, but pretty interesting. But then the rest are Sweet 100s, Cherokee Purple, and then I got you an Early Girl. And then,
Man,
yeah,
I'm
a few
loaded
little
up
treats
then.
in there. For
so
sure.
that's a huge part of what I wanted to grow this year. Thank you so much for providing that.
My pleasure.
And you really know how to start a seed.
Well,
man,
that's why I
Fred.
brought it up because remember how we talk about it and people always say, oh, it's like, I don't have luck or whatever. Those are massive, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and so the trick with those was the good potting mix,
Yep.
right?
The loose, fluffy stuff.
We used that, or the seed starting mix, I should say. We used a proper seed starting mix. We had the heat mats. We used a
heat lamp.
we used not a heat lamp.
Or
we
grow
had
light.
grow light. So basically, the heat mat, the good soil, and grow lights. We had just some LED ones, nothing too special. And then eventually they got transferred out to our outdoor little kind of greenhouse situation, and they exploded. And so I think the fresh air, the light, and the proper temperature, then your seedlings just go nuts. And what I did this year that I didn't do in the past is I actually gave them a boost. So I actually provided fertilizer into their containers when sometimes I'll just go, I'll just wait till I get them planted in the ground. Nah, this year we had some time. We had a couple
cool.
rainy days. So, hey, kids, and we went out there and literally spooned in some organic fertilizer and then did a mixture of some granules and some liquid fertilizer.
Nice.
They're massive. I mean, those seedlings are huge. So
it's time to put those in now, or
for
should
me,
you wait a little bit longer? Or
they're, you know
because
what?
they're big. I think they're ready.
I think probably some listeners have probably already got their tomatoes in.
Okay.
If you're in containers, you probably get them in even sooner. But
Did you plant yours yet?
Not all. I usually wait until about that first week or so of April to kind of avoid some of this.
But
the
it's
March.
so warm
But
now.
my seedlings are huge. We've got warm weather, so we do actually have some peppers and some tomatoes in the garden
Exciting.
right now. Not all of them, and so we're still going to be planting as we harvest the rows up. But for me, plant right now. So when you talk about seed, so if you didn't start from seed, some things that you can start directly into your garden from seed right now. There's a ton. Beets, love it right now. If you soak those seeds overnight, give them a full night. So grab your beet seeds, pull them out of the container, put them in a cup, soak them overnight, then go plant them. You'll have faster germination rates and hopefully a little bit more success. Just because they have a real thick, rigid seed coat, and I've just noticed a bit more success with the overnight soaking
That's
on
cool.
them. Carrots, right now it's carrot season. I love carrots. There's something special about going to your garden and pulling out a nice ripping carrot, knocking that dust off, and then giving it a bite. They're so sweet. I feel like they're a little bit more tender than what we get in the store. So carrots are amazing this time of year. Celery, chard, chives, fennel, lettuce right now. And this is all based off of our Master Gardener calendar. So if you're in Zone 9B, everything I'm saying is for you. If you live somewhere with a slightly different climate, then just find a planting calendar that's geared towards your weather and your climate, and then you'll find the answers that you're looking for. But for us here, I mean, the carrots, the mustard, the radish, turnips, even peas. We're kind of hitting the end of pea planting season.
And that's a direct sow too.
Direct sow.
Okay.
Those are all direct sows. Potatoes. Potatoes. Those are great
Did you say
right now. Potatoes. Yeah. So
like
taters, you can start right now. What's nice is you can start them now, and you'll have them as a harvest right as summer's starting. So it's kind of cool. Even summer squash and winter squash. Winter squash you don't grow in winter. You grow it in summer. You can store it all through winter. But those are also ones that I love to direct seed. Now you can buy the starts and things, perfectly fine. But they start from seed. Like, it's so fast. It's like a lightning bolt. So those can be started from seed. Even leeks right now are ones that you can start transplanting. You brought up the tomatoes, the peppers. So if you're like, I don't know, I'm not quite on a seed guy yet. I'm not quite there yet. Although you should be, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
But for direct transplanting, either now or in the very near future, I'll say on the horizon, of course, all the peppers we mentioned, tomatoes, we're getting really close, eggplant, basil, cucumbers, melons, all of those really warm, weather-loving plants, we're getting so close. And I usually set those out as transplants. And then last but not least, plant your flowers. In our garden at the school, we love incorporating companion plants with our garden, whether it be some herbs in there, but a lot of it is just things that bloom, flowering plants.
I remember your alyssum last year was beautiful. And
Ripping.
Didn't you grow zinnias as well? You had a huge plot of zinnia.
We did even more this year. We're doing more. So zinnias, the alyssum, the cosmos. Oh, we're growing.
And that's all by seed, right?
Purple cosmos. I got my hands on some like yellow and orange cosmos this year from seed that we're going. And just, of course, marigolds are to the summer garden on the flower side kind of what tomatoes are. It's like they just belong in that veggie garden. Marigolds just have a special place out in that garden. And some people kind of feel like, these are a positive companion plant.
For tomato.
They deter other insects. But things like, I brought up your chives, the basil, all those herbs. I mean, it's a great sage even. It's a great time to kind of get those into the garden. But like I said, every veggie garden, you got to have some flowers in there because those are going to lure in all those beneficial insects and organisms that are really going to help out. You brought the alyssum, hoverflies, even the little things that kind of go unseen. These little insects, these parasitic wasps that aren't parasitic to us, they're parasitic to aphids. They fly over an aphid and the females will stab into the aphids and inject them with their eggs.
Whoa.
And then it's kind of like aliens. And then the larva will hatch inside the aphid, eating it from the inside out, and then eventually bursting from it.
That's gruesome.
So we want more of those.
Oh,
we want more of those.
We want that. Okay. Well, I know we love the pollinators.
Yes.
And those flowers are going to bring them in, help us. I mean, that's going to help your tomatoes become fruiting, right? Don't they require that?
Well, bees. A lot of our tomatoes and plants out there, they are bee pollinated, and so if we want to we got to bring in those bees. A lot of these bees, they are drawn into these plants, these flowering plants. And the more of that, the better. And
I'm starting to see honeybees out there.
Yeah.
And
lavender is ripping right now.
Yeah, lavender. You know what I just saw? Is purple as well. Wisteria. I just saw a really beautiful wisteria in full bloom around the corner here. That stuff is awesome.
It looks out of this world. The vines kind of go up and then the clusters hang down, almost like grapes.
And it was covered in stuff, like not just bees, but other things, like really all about it. So yeah, never forget, provide for the pollinators out there. They provide to our plants, and it's a beautiful cycle.
Then just less pesticides. I've noticed for me, I've been noticing a bit of aphid pressure. If you're noticing this in your garden or on some of your veggies, first line of defense for us is just water pressure. Get the hose out there, blast them off a little bit, use that water to knock as many as you can off. I'll even come back the next day, do it, or even later that day, give them a second shot. And if I'm noticing, hey, that they still need a little bit more encouragement, then that's when you get out either the neem oil, the spinosad, or a horticultural spray, a horticultural oil, or a insecticidal soap. Something organic that you feel comfortable using. Follow the directions and use them as appropriate, but really start with the water, blast them off, and just your footsteps in that garden is when you're going to notice these things before they're a problem. I mentioned the aphids. Same thing with the weeds. I'm noticing we talked about all these trees are blooming right now. The Bermuda grass is also waking up, but you know what? I don't mind that. I like it because now that I see them, I go, okay, I'm going to get to you. And so I go dig them out, chase those stems underneath the soil, Go as deep and far as you can get them. Rip it all out, because I feel like if you get to those ones now, it won't be such it won't be such a large problem heading into the spring and summer when it's a little bit more established. And we've added so much mulch to the garden, like in and around the landscape beds, that where I am getting these weeds popping up as they spread, they're not able to root in back into the soil, so they're only rooted at one spot. Way easier to remove these weeds when they're not fully rooted in at every half inch. So these are all these little things we've been doing over the course of the year are leading up to what we're going to do now. Hopefully, just a massive planting of beautiful seedlings, and hopefully just a garden that's just super bountiful.
Very cool. So you mentioned some aphid pressure on the lemon tree, and I want to ask you about perhaps a weird video I saw on social media about a home remedy for aphids. Now, there's a lot of these kinds of things out there, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of this is not very well grounded in science, but I was wondering if you've heard of anything like this. The recommendation was that tomato plants already inherently have some kind of chemical in them that deters aphid or disrupts their growth cycle or something like that, and that you could take tomato leaves and steep them in hot water overnight and then spray that water on your plants. Would that do anything to an aphid?
I don't have any insight on that, but that doesn't surprise me, because there are a lot of different ways that people will use different types of plants to either make like a compost tea, or to make, I know there have been different products in the past that would utilize garlic in different types of very kind of potent plants that have, a bit of sulfur things in there. I wouldn't, I'd have to look into that, because I wouldn't put it past it. There are some plants that literally, you'll notice some plants are just they get pests more.
Yeah.
And
or is it not practical because our tomatoes aren't maybe there yet when we have the aphids, or the aphids there all the time?
Yeah. We'll get aphids pretty much year round here, because our weather, but for me, it's like, I don't know. I'd be curious.
Maybe there's something
keep an open
to it.
mind. But I like the skepticism, because there's so many things online where you see little videos of like garden hacks, this and that. 99% of them are made up nonsense, right? But then every now and then you see somebody do something that's clever, and you go, oh, that's a great use of what they have access to, whether it's using materials in an interesting way or whatever. But I'd have to look into that.
Okay. Before you buy into that stuff, ask somebody, right? Or maybe check in and ask you. I always ask you about this stuff. But we've got our Facebook podcast group. Maybe people could ask, check, is this hack real, or is this hack not?
Yeah. If you have any garden hack questions, check with us for sure. Because I want to hear them too, and I'm always curious.
Maybe we'll learn a new thing.
Because you never know. Then you go, oh, that's pretty incredible. Vertical gardening. You're like, oh, growing up a trellis. This seems wild. And you go, oh, wait, no, that is cool. That's a great thing.
Yeah.
So some of them are true, hopefully.
Yeah.
But what's kind of cool is nature has a way of solving problems for itself. That's why I'd be like, I can't kibosh it completely, because it's like, who knows? Maybe. We'll have to look into that.
Okay.
Because plants have a way of figuring things out.
Sure. Okay. Well, gosh, I'm so inspired by all of the beauty outside and your enthusiasm and your energy and your recommendations here today to get going and get the most incredible veggie garden started here.
Yeah.
And this is just like the beginning of it all, right? I mean, you're saying you've got tomatoes and stuff and peppers in the ground now. That's probably just your phase one.
Just a few. Yeah, and it's just a row or two. We have so much more to plant, and it kind of depends on, because we garden year round in our garden. Hopefully you are too. So we're going to be pulling out cabbage pretty soon. We're going to be pulling out the rest of our broccoli at the end of the school year. We'll be harvesting the garlic, so that has to come out, and then we'll replant really quick. So for us, we'll be planting pretty seriously the next month or two. And so don't feel like you've missed out on anything if your garden isn't ready, or you don't have a tomato in the ground right now. Don't worry about it. We have so much time ahead of us. Today, like I mentioned, we're dreaming, we're planning, and we're going to grow. So whatever your dreams are, don't worry if you fall a little short or if things don't work out quite the way you planned. That's okay, because every season is a learning opportunity. But hopefully, you can actually just leapfrog your way to some success with a little bit of planning, a little bit of dreaming, and just a little bit of growing. I really feel like we can have gardens that are befitting of what we want. I know a lot of people are concerned about grocery prices, and they kind of feel like the weight of the world on their shoulders. Well, take a little bit of that weight off. You don't have to worry about everything. Get out in that garden. If you're worried about food, go grow some more food. If you need things like that, potatoes, if you want more food, if you want something that's going to be abundant and cheap, and you're going to be like coming out of your grow some squash, some summer squash.
Yeah.
You grow a few zucchini plants at your home garden. You're going to be fine. You'll survive the summer. Of course, tomatoes and all that. But like I said, if anything you're worried about, I feel like you can get out in that garden and you can kind of turn those feelings into something positive.
They just melt away when I'm out in my garden. Or when I'm out looking at plants in my neighborhood. I get lost in it and I forget all the negative things out there in the world. And then
it helps.
This is like garden therapy it really works. I got to say,
it's for real.
Made me happy every time I connect with plants and I get my hands in the dirt. And it's just wild to think that's scientifically proven. Literally touching dirt is good for your brain. Like, what? That's wild.
Yeah, I don't get it, but I love it.
I hope everyone gets a chance to get out in their garden, whether you're planting right now or you're got seeds going or you're going to go get some plants to put in the ground. There's all these new things happening. There's new varieties of tomatoes at the stores, Kevin. We didn't even get to that. But there's just a lot of fun and energy and cool things happening around plants right now. And I'm so excited for this season. Kevin, that's all for right now. Go ahead and take us out.
Gosh, I always feel like there's so much more to go over. If you have a question for us, contact us on the Facebook group. That is the Green Acres Garden Podcast group. I'd love to answer any questions or just see what you got growing and to see what y'all are doing out there in your neck of the woods. But I'm telling you, this is going to be an amazing spring and hopefully a bountiful summer. And it all starts just one seed, one plant, one gardener at a time. So please get out in your gardens this next week and get some dirt underneath those nails and come back here for another garden adventure next time. Until then, garden friends, I'm wishing you the absolute best this week. Happy gardening to you all. And please, never stop growing.